a galaxy torn by conflict, the Federation has kept the
The
peace.
station is Bajoran property.
Commanded by me.
But something's turning allies
I need your help.
You're going after Cisco.
into enemies.
If anyone is against Cisco, is against me.
Kira's taking over
What can we do?
Leave the station.
on the next episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
There's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true,
Even the lies.
especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government,
And the Promenade Merchants Association.
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to Especially the Lies of Deep Space Nine podcast, a part of the Front Row Network and NPR Illinois Community Voices. We're a group of newbies watching Deep Space Nine for the very first time, and a group of prophets who have watched Deep Space Nine far too much. We are here today to talk about Dramatis Personae. I'm Scott, and with me is
Mike.
Christopher.
Emily.
Nicole.
Prentice.
Jesse's out this week, so sorry, guys. So a reminder to like, subscribe, follow, click all the buttons, click the up arrow, the notify button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio podcast, we do have a YouTube, and if you're on YouTube, we do have an audio podcast. And a hello to all of our friends on Reddit who have been chatting with us over the past week, now that we're finally officially on there. And we've been discussing Team Kira or Team Cisco, which we'll talk a little bit about here today. And please, 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 if you can, leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or on Audible. Apple is definitely the best way to do it, and we really do appreciate when those do come in. We did get one this week that I'm not sure if it was a positive one or not. It was a 4 out of 5 stars, so we'll go with it. But this one, actually, they changed it to 5 stars now. They changed it after that. But still, the title is, I still don't know if I like this show.
Neither do I, so.
That's true. Okay, so Winston Smythe says, I still don't know if I like this show, and I swear they gave a 4 star, but then they changed it to 5. Remember that episode of The West Wing where Josh clowns the lady for wearing the Star Trek pin? I do know that episode. He says Cardassian wrong. Now imagine the lady from the episode and her friends all recorded their conversations about Star Trek. It's an entertaining show, annoying at times, but entertaining. The additional research on the history of the show and franchise exceptional. In all, I would recommend this, parentheses, except for season 5 of B5. Nothing can save that. I tried. I really did. Well, this isn't a B5 show, but thank you. That's appreciate it. And thanks for changing your 4 star to a 5 star. Thank you. I think that's everything. So now we're going to go ahead and dive into Dramatis Personae. I said persona last week and I realized I said it wrong. So here we are. And Prentice, I believe that you have a synopsis for us.
I do indeed. The crew becomes infected by a telepathic imprint of a culture that destroyed itself.
The only thing I remember of this episode, it's a clock. Okay, let's go ahead and do our first impressions with our newbies. Christopher, first impressions of Dramatis Personae.
I enjoyed this episode because who does not love a good mutiny?
Clearly, O'Brien does not.
I think he would have enjoyed it if he was on the other side. He was having a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was, I said for myself, it was an A-tier episode. I like how spacey Dax was at times. That just always made me chuckle. And how easily swayed to Kira's side she was. Like, she didn't really put up much resistance. And so I thought that was an interesting dynamic there that I really liked. And I like kind of the Queegisms of Cisco and the clock. So I enjoyed this episode.
Is that in the Oxford Dictionary, the Queegism?
Have you not seen a Kane Mutiny?
No, I know what you meant. I just didn't know if that was a word.
I mean...
And to our only other newbie this week, Nicole.
So yeah, at first I didn't really understand what was happening. I'm like, are they possessed? Like, did they get possessed by a demon or the devil? Like, what's happening? Like, do they need a priest? Do they need an exorcism? And then as it started going on and everyone's behavior started changing, I kind of figured it out. I'm like, okay, something is going on. Either they're like possessed or they're taken over. And I kind of sort of caught on to what was happening. And then it started to get good because at first I was confused as hell. I'm like, what is happening with this? Why is everyone acting so crazy? Did they take meth? Like, what is happening here? But yeah, it was a pretty good episode. I actually liked how Quark was one of the only normal ones and like helpful in this episode. And I will say it right now, he's growing on me and I'm starting to like Quark. I think this was my favorite of Quark so far, honestly, which is so random because he wasn't even like a huge part of the episode. But yeah, I thought it was really good. It was kind of crazy to see like how quickly things escalated and how evil and like vindictive Kira was. Like she sure played that part up real good, like sweet talking Odo and Dax. And I was like, okay, Kira, you are a little minx. I will say I did not get it at first, but I guess that's my blonde moment of the week.
Well, you had to rewatch at least once, right?
Yeah, and I did. I rewatched it again because I watched it like a week ago, and I was like, I need to rewatch this and like make sure I have this right.
What exactly happened? Okay, let's go over to our prophets who have been watching the whole show for far too long. Mike, first impressions on Dramatis Personae.
Well, first things first, I have been trying to type into Google to figure out how you spell whatever that word was that Christopher used because I do not know Queegism.
Well, Captain Queeg.
Please explain.
So Captain Queeg is the captain of the Kane in the book and movie, The Kane Mutiny. And he is this captain who is kind of like slowly going mad. And one of his obsessions is finding out like who is stealing his strawberries, who's eating his strawberries for his strawberry ice cream. And so
Okay.
like the focus on that, of
He's
the
very
benign
aloof.
is
This explains a
aloof.
lot because I tried to spell this and Google suggested that I was trying to type queergasm.
Well,
And I'm pretty sure it
we
wasn't
did
that.
I'm not gonna lie, the Kira and Dax scenes could have been a queergasm.
Listen,
Just saying.
There was some tension there.
Anyway, that segues into my review of the episode. I did not love it. That would have helped it tremendously. But no. Instead, I got a bunch of characters acting really weird, and I just didn't really, I don't know. I'm going to wait and sit back and let you explain to me why I'm wrong and why this episode is brilliant. I thought this was the worst one of season 1 thus far. I really did. I had a difficult time getting through this episode. And that's not to say that I like hated it. I was just bored. I thought it was weird and kind of uninteresting. And like the plot of this is one of those like, I don't know. It's one of the ones that like a Lower Decks episode would make fun of because it was so dorky. So
Emily,
anyway.
would you like to tell Mike why he's wrong?
Yeah, please.
No.
There's 2 votes.
No, I'm not that big a fan of the storyline. It's not bad. It's mildly interesting. I like it in that it gives the actors more to do and you get to see a little more of their ability. And also I just love a good badass Cisco moment. It's a problem. I've been reading way too many books with morally gray characters. So
say you went into like smut mode there.
There is some good Cisco fanfic out there if you want to read it.
I bet there is. Look, if you can get me some really good A Man Called Hawk like fanfic, let me know.
Wait, Cisco fanfic? Like perverted stuff?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Oh, I don't know what I honestly just learned what fanfic was from when we watched B5. I didn't even know what that was.
Well, it's okay.
That was a term.
We also you taught somebody Spank Bank, so
yeah,
we taught you fanfic.
We all learn something new every week, okay?
Not all fanfic is kinky, but I'm sure a good portion of it is.
But it's like sex based, so it's like smut for science fiction.
There's what's it? Rule 35? What is the rule? There's an internet thing.
Prentice is just like, wow.
I learn something new every day. I'm like, what?
Right?
I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it's rule 34 of the internet. If it exists, there is porn of it.
What the fuck?
Yes, there you
That is
go.
crazy.
Thank you. I was right.
There you go,
34,
ladies and
yes.
gentlemen. That's our podcast. We will be presenting.
We
Listen.
joked on the last show that we were going to have the youngest guy read some B5 fanfic. You can find some really raunchy good stuff and have Nicole read it.
Listen,
I would blush the whole time.
if the casting rumors are true and Sydney Sweeney really does star in the live action Gundam movie, I'll be writing it. I'll be writing the smut.
Oh, I thought you said you'd be writing it. You'll
Y'all
be
are
writing the
corrupting
Gundams.
me in my innocence with this fanfic.
Oh, shut up, Nicole.
Ma'am, I have some Kindle books for you.
Emily's face went from 0 to oh, shut the hell up, and like
Cisco set his phaser to kill.
kill something.
Prentice,
Just
you're up, boss.
So let me just come on in, I guess. Whoa, that's hard to follow. Everybody, let's say that was, until this comment was very mid-episode, this very mid, Cisco was overacting yet again, that's fine. And I just realized this episode is kind of a precursor to some of our favorite episodes in terms of, let's just say, alternate personalities. I'm not
We
giving
will
away the-
discuss that after we get rid of the newbies.
Exactly. Like that. It was a little bit fun seeing how maniacal and crazy Kira was and seeing over Cisco was. Other than that, it was just a mid-episode. It was a mid-episode. We're getting towards the end of the season. It looks like they're killing scripts right now. It was nothing to remember, really. It's been 30 years since I've seen an episode. I see why I forgot. So with that being the case, we'll move on.
Nice. Mike, you had something you wanted to add?
well, I just thought I could maybe jumpstart the conversation a little bit, I guess, throughout some of my analysis of maybe why I don't love the episode so much. I'll be blunt and say that I didn't understand a lot of the character, I want to say motivations, or I didn't understand what was going on with a lot of the characters. If it was that they were trying to invert their personalities, or like I started off under the impression from Kira and O'Brien mainly that it was like everybody gets really paranoid and suspicious, and even Bashir kind of fit into that as well. But then with other characters like Jadzia and Cisco especially, I'm just like, I really don't get what's happening here with these guys. It's very strange. So
Yeah. I think your answer comes from the Klingon, because the Klingon says the captain was doing the exact same thing that that Cisco was doing, and I think that's the point. Is
I mean,
Emily,
it makes sense. Cisco made sense in a way. I don't understand Dax. Why was she the airhead? I don't understand how the spirit of these demons, these entities, come to the space station and make her the bimbo of Deep Space Nine. I'm like, how did that happen? Why did that happen?
Yeah, like were they embodying specific personalities from the other culture?
Emily is nodding emphatically. Emily,
Okay,
go
go.
for it.
I think why I didn't care for this episode is because it feels like a repeat of an episode of TNG where like the entity, I think there was a TNG one. I think there may have even be a TOS one that's similar, where like crew get taken over by like the personalities of other beings or entities. I think in TNG, the people had died and all their personalities or whatever were in the cloud.
And it's the penal colony. They visited the penal colony, picked up all the personality, and they possessed Troy, even O'Brien. Wait a minute, so O'Brien got possessed twice almost, right? Okay, he was in the episode 2 and got possessed by those beings on that planet. Oh, wow, this is interesting. I never thought about it.
I feel like that might be why this episode falls a little bit flat, because it's a rehash of a basic storyline we've already seen.
I mean, that wasn't it for me. I just didn't get what was happening. It
It
felt
was
like
specific personalities that were like needing a body.
That wasn't clear to me, at least. And I'll say that like the Cisco and like making the clock thing, by the end of the episode, what the hell was that about? It almost felt like a B plot that just got cut.
It's a clock.
Christopher said it. The Cisco captain, whoever he was aloof, and he was maniacal and really like focusing on this thing. And O'Brien was taken over by a character who was like the little peon who wanted to be the emperor, but was just going to follow Cisco around. Kira became the person who was, trying to take out the king. And the Bashir one, for me, I mentioned this when I was talking to folks on Reddit as well too. He struck me as kind of just voyeuristic. He wanted to watch everything fall apart.
The guy who's running sports betting on the ship.
Yeah, he wanted to watch it. He wanted to watch it burn is what he wanted. fun.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
And quite honestly, if I went back and rewatched this episode with different lenses on now, I might feel a little bit different about it. But I still don't think that what we're explaining here was super clear in my mind.
No, it was not. I completely agree with you that. And actually, Ira Stephen Bear, he actually said this is his favorite episode of season 1. Interesting.
Okay.
He said it was a 3rd season show that we had the nerve to do in the 1st season. Anybody else would say you need to know the characters better before you twist them like this. But seeing Kira come on to Dax, I don't care. It's the 1st or 3rd season. People are going to be interested in that. Unless you're Mike, apparently.
No, if they had done more of that, yes, that is perfect segue into my second overall comment, and that is, granted, I'm gonna say we are 18-ish episodes in, depending on how you count the first one.
We have 2 episodes left.
Yes. So I mean, we're well into season, but even so, we have a large cast, big ensemble cast, lots of characters. My other takeaway from this was we have all these characters suddenly not being themselves. And I thought that was a big misstep, and it makes a whole lot more sense if you're saying that this was meant to be a season 3 show, because I don't feel like we know these characters well enough. I don't think the actors know their own characters well enough, certainly not in Sisko's case. I mean, we see a dramatic shift in how well his acting progresses playing the character later on. So I think that was another reason why I thought this episode just felt so weird.
Mm-hmm.
So what I actually liked about it was it kind of calls back to the beginning where Kira is very untrusting of the Federation, and you can see that tension is still kind of there before the takeover, right? So that's happening before the takeover when she's asking, Sisko if they're gonna stop the Valerians from docking, or if they're gonna allow her to, at least inspect the ship, because she believes that they're trafficking weapons grade materials. And
Kira does not believe in due process.
Look, I can understand the fact that she thinks that they're arms dealers, basically, and I get where she's coming from. And you see that underlying tension that's still there, very much kind of at the surface, and how easily something could bubble up. And that's why I like this, because you kind of got to see that more. Like I had said at the beginning, I thought that they had her shift to siding with the Federation was too quick. And it's kind of nice to see that maybe that's not all gone.
I do agree with that. I do agree that I think they could have strung out Kira's progression longer than they did.
Yeah, Christopher, I'm kind of on both sides of this. I realize I didn't do my first impression. I do like this episode. I enjoy it because I like when the actors get to play different parts, and Prentice kind of alluded to, we'll get some more of that down the road. But I can see where people like Mike what you're explaining that I like too, that Kira initially has some issues before they even get taken over. That can get confusing too if you have no idea what the hell's going on, because I believe, like Emily does, that these are completely different characters that take over their minds, because at the end, Kira says, I don't remember anything that happened.
Right.
Because it was a different entity. But that gets confusing when Kira is having issues with Sisko before they get taken over. So it's odd. Nicole, what do you got?
Kind of going off that and what Christopher said, what I thought was interesting at the very end when Kira said, I don't remember, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, we'll let it go this time. It kind of led me to believe that maybe he knows that she's not fully on board with the Federation and fully happy. And maybe some of it might have been a little true, even though they have gotten closer and that they have been working together. That inherent rebellion streak will always be in her in a way. And I think he was saying it to be funny, but also it makes you think oh shit, maybe this is just a kind of a picture of what could happen if things go a certain way, or if the switch is flipped. Or so I just thought that was kind of funny based on what you guys were saying. I kind of thought about how it was a little confusing because there was issues before, then this happened, and then he said that, and I was like, interesting. And then he went back to playing with his clock.
Without spoiling anything, we are coming up on a 4 episode arc that ends season 1 and goes into season 2, which I think will be very interesting for you guys. I'm looking forward to having that conversation. What else you guys got?
I feel like I've kind of dominated a lot of the conversation here, but one thing that I think would have probably also really helped with explaining what was really happening in this episode was like a little bit of use of special effect, because was there any kind of special effect from the point when the Klingon beamed aboard to everybody acting weird? No.
You saw like a takeover of Odo.
Yeah, like his head split in half.
There was
tempted to take him over.
Okay, there was
Yeah.
but
you didn't see like anybody else.
You didn't see like any other kind of ghost possession or anything. Yeah.
Right.
And even at the very end, when they start playing Enya over the Bluetooth speaker in the cargo bay and all people's heads light up and the thing goes into a big cloud above them, like, again, it wasn't clear that there were like individual entities coming out of people, that it was just like everybody's acting weird because of purple. And
because of purple.
Did everything just taste purple for a second?
Were they born to the purple? Sorry.
Oh God.
More callbacks.
I had to. I'm sorry.
That's she has only one frame of reference and she's gonna use it.
Hey.
Mike is proud of me about that, okay?
Yeah, I am, and we're gonna build that repertoire.
That's what we're doing.
Something like that.
Okay, I did have
What
one
else you all
thing.
got? Oh, go ahead, Nicole. Go for
I
it.
kind of wanted to build off something Mike had said earlier. He said that he had a difficult time like watching it, earlier. So I had a difficult time watching it, but I think it was for a different reason. Well, one, at first I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. And then I realized they were all possessed. But I had a difficult time watching them like not being themselves. Like I had a hard time watching Kira be so vindictive. I had a hard time watching Cisco be so aloof. I had a hard time watching them argue and fight, and like when they turned on each other at the end, like that was hurting my feelings. I was like, no, you are friends, make it stop. My big heart was very upset about that, and I had a hard time taking that in and seeing how vicious everybody was, except for O'Brien, because he's crotchety and I love that about him. But like Kira was totally different. Cisco was like, it was just so hard for me to absorb that and watch that because I didn't like it.
Nicole, I gotta tell you though, this aired September of 1993, so I had just turned 10 years old. I did not have a hard time the way you're explaining with watching Nana Visitor, because my God, I love that woman and I love how she acts in this episode.
I also don't have a wang, so I feel a little differently.
Okay, I don't either, but come on, that was hot.
Dax felt the same way.
I mean, I get it. I don't know. I had a hard time, not that kind of hard, just seeing them be mean to each other. It was a little hard for me to take that because I don't know, like I'm a softie. What can I say? Yeah.
She has better morals than some of us, apparently.
Well, no, but I do think, I mean, aside from the joking, it's interesting. And again, it gets back to Mike's thing. I don't know if this is suppressed Kira in personality or if this is completely different personality, but it is fun to watch Kira, whatever, use sexuality, what she wants. And it's interesting.
And Odo's response was interesting because he was like, I know you're better than this shit. What are you doing?
Odo's response to everybody was just good. I really liked him in this episode because he's calling everybody on their bullshit. He's playing detective. He's getting to figure it out. And I just thought he did a really good job of playing the straight man to all the chaos that was going around him. I mean, he did a really good job acting that.
I did really appreciate him manipulating Bashir into helping solve the whole crisis in the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I do like about this episode too with Odo is, and I haven't watched this, I mean, this is kind of like the other ones in season 1. I usually skip over this one.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy that. I didn't realize until about the second commercial break that Odo hadn't been taken over, because he was acting very Odo-like, but in more so a way than we're used to. So when he was getting very investigative, at first I was thinking he was having a personality issue too, but then it's just like, oh no, this is just Odo. He's just...
I think it would have been really funny if at the end of the episode you found out that like O'Brien wasn't possessed at all because of the plate in his head or something.
He's just a dick, usually.
that was just him being him.
Just cranky.
One thing that got pointed out by a fan was, if you know TNG, O'Brien's one job was working the teleporter room. That's his job, the transporter room. So the fact that Dax had to explain to O'Brien why the transporter was doing the thing, that was kind of interesting, because I'm like, O'Brien's like, fuck off. I know this stuff.
Yeah,
This is my
he
one
did
job.
say, I
Yeah.
know this. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm already
this
on
is
it.
my one job.
Did Dax they explain to him?
A little bit, yeah.
And I also wonder, in my head canon, in Prentice, you brought this up too, like, why was Dax so aloof? I wonder if because she's got two personalities in there already, and actually more than that, but with the symbiote and with Jadzia, I wonder if there was just some weird stuff going on. I don't know. I got nothing to explain that aside from just trying to do some head canon. Emily, it's an audio podcast, so how
Oh,
about you
yes.
give us your answer that you put in the chat?
PNG episode I was referring to was Power Play Season 5, Episode 15.
Wasn't it like there was another one it was called Masks, where it was the same idea, but I think it was just Data. Data was just wearing all these different masks.
That was yeah, the mask one.
That was season 7, right?
Fucked up. Yeah, that was interesting.
That episode play that we just mentioned, that's the one where Maria Sirtis broke her coccyx bone. And the scene when she was possessed or something happened, she jumped back too hard and she fell on her back and broke her bone.
Well, she could have gone and seen the same personal injury attorney that Quark looked like he was going to go see after he visited Odo.
Neck brace.
Oh God, I love that.
That was so great.
When he realizes he's not going to get what he wants and he starts screaming, then he just adjusts the collar. He's like, ah! I love Armin Shimmerman so freaking much.
That was just genius. Love that. And I've always thought that bartenders would make great spies, right? Because you get a little bit of alcohol in there, you start talking, and Quark would be a terrible spy though, because he dropped his glass as soon as like Kira reveals her plan. And it was comic gold in this episode, I thought.
Since we were talking about Quark, I find it interesting that Quark goes to Odo, because up until now, Quark and Odo have been kind of like not on the same team. Quark tries to do shady shit and Odo tries to catch him doing shady shit, and now something happens and Quark goes to Odo as like, what the hell is happening? So I feel like that actually tells us something about Quark and where his line is. It's okay if I'm doing weird stuff, but when I see other people do stuff completely out of character, I'm gonna get concerned because I'm paying attention.
Well, and like I've always talked about the Quark and Odo friendship, and you see it in this episode where Odo's head explodes. And he slumps down and Quark goes running after Dr. Bashir, and there's genuine concern for him there. Is Quark always going to scheme and try not to get caught? Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, he knows that Odo can be trusted. He's going to be on his side when he's in the right.
Yeah.
Prentice, you mentioned that Marina Sirtis got injured on that episode. Ironically, Nana Visitor got injured on this episode. So in Ops, she fell and hurt her back. And actually, Michael Pillar, again, showrunner at this point, forced her to go to the hospital. And apparently, when she went to the hospital, she was still in full makeup. And so the ER really wanted to try to fix her nose before they cared about her back.
That's pretty funny. The thing about Quark that I realized in this episode is that he's always paying attention. I think somebody said that, right? Like I feel like he knows anything and everything that's happening there because he's kind of got his ear to the ground, and he's the one where he's working at the bar, right? That's where people talk about their shit the most, and whether they're talking to him or not, he overhears probably a lot more than he needs. So I thought it was interesting how at first he was like, oh, what do I get for helping you? And then Odo's like, well, I'll just stop fixing your thing. Okay, here's the information. But he had exactly what Odo needed. I think I realized in this episode Quark is a lot smarter than I thought he was, or maybe people might think he is. I mean, yes, he's a schemer, he's a plotter, he's out to make money, but like he's a crafty little devil. But also we got to see a little bit of the humanity side that Christopher was talking about. Like when Odo kind of blacked out like that, Quark was visibly upset about it and like trying to get help for him. When Quark was witnessing Kira threatening Dax, basically, he was concerned. And then she went after him and he was like, what the hell, you know? So I think this episode really, I don't know what it is, but I think this is where I'm taking a turn and I'm going to be Team Quark and I'm not going to dislike him anymore. I told our fans and friends on Facebook I would come around eventually, and they said, no, you won't, or we hope so. I'm finally coming around, guys. You can mark my words.
When she listed off those things, all I thought about was the Joker. I'm a Joker. I'm a lover. I'm a sinner. I'm a midnight toker. Sorry. Mike, what do you got?
Not the Steve Miller man. Well, now that we've had all this really good conversation, I'm really ready to get super pedantic about details.
Yeah, let's derail it now.
How come Odo didn't melt into a puddle when his head exploded?
Look, don't try to get specific.
It wasn't
about
16
logic.
hours. I don't know.
Okay.
No, doesn't he have to concentrate or something to hold his form? He wasn't concentrating with no head. He was clearly
They
unconscious.
haven't made decisions like that yet. Okay?
I'm just saying.
We've all been to college. All of us have felt that way exactly before. With the like, maybe not Prentice, but everyone else has felt that way. Hey.
Bashir did tell him that his body chemistry defies analysis.
He has to turn him into a goop so he can scan him.
He said to think about it, right?
Needs to run him through a coffee filter or something. I don't.
Anything else on the episode, guys, before we go into questions, predictions?
I just want to ask, Jazia, she has how many personalities? She's like, what, 8 or 9 lives?
I believe she's the 8. I believe she's either the 7th or the 8th, Dax.
Got it.
I believe.
And also, by the way, Marina Sirtis, if you ever see her in convention, she's really a fun person to be around. Really, she's hilarious. I don't know if she was drunk on the stage when I first saw her. Seriously, I saw her at a Star Trek convention back in 92, 93. They were in the last few seasons of the show, and she was hilarious on stage. Being kind of stalled. So I was like, wow, she's really funny. My father's like, yeah, she's probably had a little bit too much to drink, but she's a good woman. Good woman. She's fine actress. But anyway, that's the last comment I wanted to say about the episode.
One of my favorite lines from Star Trek First Contact is, I'm trying to blend in. And Riker's like, you're blended, all right.
Oh, my God.
Let's go over to our newbies who have not watched past this episode and ask if they have any lingering questions or predictions about this. And I swear, and I've been saying this a lot, but we will get some serialized stuff soon. So there'll probably be more questions in the next few weeks. But Cole, questions, prediction.
I don't think I have any. I think this is pretty self-contained. Now they're not possessed anymore and it flew out of the air. Oh, we got to see something go out of an airlock. That was cool.
Why didn't all the air go out of the airlock and they started having trouble breathing when they opened that's
Well,
I mean,
we're not sciencing right now.
Yeah.
Speaking about being pedantic, because Mike was trying to. Did anyone else know the continuity error with Cisco when they were in the airlock? Anybody? He took his comm badge off.
Oh, did
so
he have
they
his
couldn't
comm
track
badge
him
back on?
Oh.
And he had his comm badge on when he was being sucked out of the thing.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Whoopsie.
But no, I don't think I have any questions or predictions. I just hope we don't see another mutiny anytime soon.
No promises. Okay. Christopher, what do you got?
My question, which they kind of answered in the show, was does mutiny change relationships? Does it change anything between them? Especially like with Dax and Cisco. Like she went to Kira's side. I thought, with the relationship that Dax and Cisco have had, that she would be on his side. So does that change anything between them? Does the clock mean something because they kept showing the damn clock? Is that important? Does it come back? And it's like, is Odo immortal? Like, what the hell?
Ooh, wouldn't it be cool if he was actually a vampire and we could have a Twilight thing here?
He does not sparkle. Does not sparkle.
Odo's a vampire. That's it. I'm calling.
She loves Twilight and hasn't gotten into Twilight fanfic. I feel
that's the whole point. Okay, how does the girl exactly, Emily? I'm glad you brought this up. How does the girl who loves Twilight not understand what fanfic is? You realize that Twilight is fanfic, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Sorry, it's the other way around. 50 Shades of Grey is fanfic of Twilight. Yes.
There's no vampires in 50 Shades of Grey.
Doesn't matter.
That's where it came from. It was a fanfic.
And that's a full-on sex movie. So, okay. Interesting.
Dakota Johnson.
Oh boy,
So
I learned a lot today.
So if there are porn parodies of normal movies, you're saying there's a normal movie parody of a
Probably.
interesting.
I'm sure someone that listens to us has done the research and can give us an answer.
Join us on our Facebook page and tell us what porn
In the
/ not
comments,
porn
let
parodies.
us know.
Yeah, in the comments, give us some help the algorithm out in our YouTube. Comment down below.
Fucking Mike, man.
How did you find out about fanfic? When did you first introduce yourself to that line of reading? When did that happen?
I grew up in the 90s. It was we were on AOL.
No. Really? In the 90s they had fanfic? What are you talking about?
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
Me and
Just
Prentice are
didn't-
repressed, apparently.
You just had to know what hole to look in.
Ew.
I should not have said that.
Jesus, Mike.
I'm pretty sure like
Yeah,
Leonard
weren't you
Nimoy
on
was
lists?
talking about
Yeah.
like fanfic of the original series back in like the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there was a lot of fanfic of Kirk and Spock making
Yeah.
babies.
Like together?
Yeah.
Like those two?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really? Oh wow.
You guys are gonna go down a.
No, I'm not
to
looking
Mike's
any of
point,
this shit
You're
up.
about to go
Uh-uh.
down a rabbit hole.
Hell no.
All right, time to go.
I'm not doing
For
that.
those on YouTube, in the comments, give us your links to your best. Well,
Don't.
best may not be the right word.
So,
Give us
We
links
don't.
to
We
the
don't
most
have.
interesting fanfic that you have.
We do
No
not
spoilers.
have enough incognito modes.
no. You don't want it. Keep it to yourselves, people.
Don't worry, even if you're in incognito mode, Google is still watching.
God, I
my
need an
God.
adult. I
Google
can't handle
likes to
this.
watch.
Those ads are
Google
gonna be
does like to watch.
I need an
Okay.
adult.
Yes, we all do. It was supposed to be Prentice, but he's not helping us.
We've blown Prentice's mind.
Mine is blown. Mine is blown. Is blown the hell up. I'm like, what? Porn about science fiction? All that? Wow.
This is a whole world that you are about
yes.
to enter into. And one of
Wait.
our bonus episodes, I think, is going to have to be getting the script and like.
Do they have
reading
like
it.
Star Wars porn? Like
Oh,
fan
Oh my
Absolutely.
god!
I have heard a
There
script
is-
for Sarah Palin
You
porn,
could-
okay?
You could fill a Death Star.
Well, Who's Nailing Palin is a porn I wanted to watch one day, but I never watched it. I was going to host a Who's Nailing Palin viewing party, but it didn't work
She
out.
screws Russians because she can see
Yeah.
him from her house.
Yeah.
Well,
That-
thanks for joining us on Easter Monday. Hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Y'all, we need Jesus up in here. Oh,
He has
God.
risen.
The Pope can't help us
I
anymore.
was gonna say there's currently no Pope, so does that mean we have like a
Free-for-all?
purge season?
Isn't
Like,
Oh my
well, isn't the
God.
guy's name Cummalingo? Is that right?
what?
Oh my god, the look of disapproval you just got from Prentice. I wish they could all see it.
Isn't that what the guy's name is?
You're
don't know
not
what you're
wrong.
talking
You're
about.
not wrong. I saw the name.
Is it the Cummalingo?
And I
No, the
saw
guy
that
who
one-
seals the
I'm not gonna
room.
say it. I know I'm butchering it, but essentially I looked at it and Scott, I had the same thoughts. Like, is that how you pronounce it? That would be so inappropriate. But
I just know it because the Dan Brown novel Angels and Demons, the bad guy is the Cummalingo.
Oh,
Spoilers.
Boy.
I do vaguely remember this. I actually read that book.
All right. Are
Okay,
are we
let's
ready?
go ahead and
it's
wrap
called
this
Lord
up.
of the G-Strings. No.
Lord of the G-strings.
Okay, that is what's her name? That
Jesus.
is God. I know that girl's name because I've met her.
I don't know.
Ainsley Hayes.
Erin Brown.
I just
Aaron-
remember
Aaron
the
Brown.
characters' names were
She's from
like
East St.
Smeared Off the
Louis.
Wizard and Dildo Saggins.
Yes, her screen name is Erin Brown, or maybe that's
What
not
the
her.
Oh my god.
Either way, and she's from East St. Louis, and I have met her.
Dildo
Not for reasons you
Saggins?
think. Dildo Saggins, yes.
Our
He
podcast.
was also in Planet of the Apes, and it's what you think it is.
Oh, God.
What did we turn?
And also, she played the title role in Spider Girl.
Yeah, what's
Fucking Christ.
Cinemax. We're back. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
You have the red.
Okay, we'll go ahead and
Wow. Okay.
believe it or not, we actually have some spoiler stuff that we do want to talk about, so we got to get the newbies out of here for that. And then we will be back next week with them to discuss the second to last episode of the season, Duet. Until next week, or until we come back in a few minutes after we kick the newbies out, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Christopher.
Mike.
Emily.
Nicole.
Mind blown Prentice.
you got blown, Prentice. What?
Mind blown,
Mind
Prentice.
blown.
I'm blown. All right. We're already in the gutter, so I can't say take your mind out the gutter. We're here.
Oh, gosh.
Okay,
We've been
well,
off the rails since the beginning of this episode.
like Secretary Hegseth, we're out. Thank you for listening to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast by searching for Especially the Lies on your podcast app or on YouTube. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Especially the Lies is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Paramount or any other owners of the Star Trek copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They are included here for purposes of review, and no infringement is intended.
Why have you brought me here? Show yourselves. What do you want?
The Cisco has returned to us.
He arrives with questions.
There are always questions.
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
Well,
It's
glad
all
I
your fault.
derailed that with some fanfic.
The fact that Nicole hasn't... I get Prentice. I can get Prentice. I
don't-
can't get Nicole. The
I
girl
mean-
likes Twilight, and she's never read fanfic.
Funny story, I've never actually read fanfic, but I know it's out
You've
there.
written fanfic, probably.
I have not. There is no documented evidence of that at all. I may have thought of fanfic, but I've never
feel
written
like-
it down.
I feel like this isn't even the first fanfic conversation we've had in this podcast this
No.
season.
No.
Probably not.
I was also having a conversation, believe it or not, on TikTok, on our account over there, where somebody had asked what the best couple was in DS9. And I pointed out that they didn't mention O'Brien and Bashir as being the best couple, because
Oh
they
my
are
God.
the best couple. Speaking of fanfic,
Yeah.
Now, thanks to Lower Decks, we know that Bashir and Garrick are the couple that lasts.
yes, that's true. Only when they're holograms, though.
That's true. And from another dimension, maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows? Okay, let's go ahead. I didn't open us up. So welcome back to our spoiler section. Be sure to leave if you have not watched past Dramatis Personae, but we're going to dive in. Prentice, I think you were alluding to some stuff, but real quick, I do want to say we intentionally did not mention anything about Duet, aside from the fact that we're watching it next week, because I have been yelled at personally online because I hype stuff up or I don't hype stuff up. So I intentionally did not. So do us a favor, don't mention Duet on our social medias. Let's let the newbies experience and see what they have to say about it. So, Prentice, what did you want to talk about with personalities?
So this was eerily similar to our Mirror Universe episodes that come up in the next couple of seasons. As I thought about, I was like, you have the sex kitten Kira that emerged in this episode, which we see in the Mirror Universe, where she turns into this kink diva on the station.
The Intendant.
And the Intendant, right? And that was always interesting seeing her in that role. And then Cisco, his personality in that is somewhat over the top as well. So I looked at the parallels. I'm like, this seems like a pre-Mirror Universe episode almost.
Yeah, I truly think, especially after watching this episode this time, that the Mirror Universe stuff was like, hey, we loved Nana doing that. Let's have her do it again. Because it's the exact same character, just more Dom.
Yes.
Well, and like I said, I think, if we had gotten to know these characters much more, I feel like this episode, in like the Mirror Universe, the reason they're so fun is because it is an inversion or a flip of the character that you know and love. And I just feel like season 1 is too early for that kind of thing. That's why I think it fell flat for me.
Yeah, and I don't feel the same way. But that being said, my perspective is skewed because I have 7 years of knowing these characters. So I don't know how I would react if I was a newbie again watching this, and I can't remember remember 30 years ago. I can't remember what I
No.
had for breakfast last
I
year.
mean, and I was saying, and it is fair, as much as you introduce us as all having watched DS9 far too many times, I don't feel like that's probably true in my case. I've watched the whole series through at least once, and that's about it. So,
You know what happens.
but I'm probably more on the noob spectrum, the noob side of things in that regard. And so, again, maybe that's a little bit telling why my reaction is stronger.
Well, and that being said, I mean, that's why I love doing this and why I love doing the last one is because, like Emily has mentioned this too, whenever I watch DS9 or any of this stuff, I just binge through it. And I'm forcing myself to watch week to week like the newbies, and it makes everything be a different experience than what it usually is.
Really does, yeah.
Anybody having other stuff they want to add? Go ahead, Emily.
Yes, this is irrelevant to any of their questions, but since we talked about Dax and
What
the
is relevant?
host. Okay, so Jadzia was number 8, but she believes she is number 7 until they figure out about Joran.
Yes.
Which is
Yes,
why there's
the
some
serial
confusion.
killer. Yes. Yeah, and then and I was trying to figure out if Esri
Is
was
9.
8 or 9. So she's 9.
She's 9.
Okay. And we're going to try very, very hard not to spoil the Dax/Esri thing, but we've got 6 seasons to not spoil it.
And Scott loves an Esri, so it's going to be especially difficult for him.
Oh my God. Yeah.
He wants some fanfic about her, so if anyone's got links, drop them for him.
Dude, all I gotta do is watch the original Cube movie. That's all I gotta do. Watch Cube. And by the way, Cube is a really good sci-fi movie. Just saying.
Oh,
and it's got Nicole in it.
Where can it be found? Is it streaming on like Tubi, Prime, something?
I think there's actually like 3 of them. You don't need to watch the other 2. Just watch Cube.
What is Cube about? Tell the audience.
Have you watched Apprentice?
I've never seen that movie. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a character piece where it's like 6 or 7 people find themselves in a room and they just wake up in the room, and some of them are in different parts of the room and everything else. And I don't want to say anything more because if I say anything more, I'll start spoiling stuff. But it is Cube, and you should check it out. And it's kind of like, it's a horror movie, but it's also a sci-fi. It's good.
It very much,
Mike, you've seen it, right?
Yeah. Without spoiling it, again, it's a film that very much has the feel of a 90s sci-fi horror movie. I think there are lots of them, but like take the kind of low budget, high conceptness of things like, I'm gonna say Critters, but I had a better example a minute ago.
It's kind of like a proto Saw, honestly.
It really, that's a very good description of it, actually. It has that kind of, I said, it feels Hellraiser-y. It has that same kind of overall vibe of this is, what's the Dark City, I think was another one came to mind.
Yeah. I can see that.
So
yeah, no, but that's my recommendation for the week is check out Cube, and that way you can see Nicole DeBoer and.
Good Lord, I actually just looked at the IMDb and I didn't realize the dude from Stargate Atlantis was in that as well.
Oh yeah, it's a really good cast.
Completely
it's a really
forgot.
good cast.
Wow.
It's also there's a character actor who I'm blanking his name, but he's like one of those guys who's in everything. Mm-hmm. He's the guy with the button. He sucks on a button. That's his thing. It makes sense. Just makes sense.
Who's better, Terry or Nicole? In your point of your
again,
point?
I have a type. I'm gonna go with Esri.
I noticed that Memory Alpha actually lists 2 other posts after Esri. I'm assuming that must be from like books or Star Trek Online.
Could be, yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is for those watching Discovery. There is a symbiote in Discovery, like in the year 3000, and I thought for sure up until the very moment when they revealed it that it was going to be Dax, but it wasn't. It was a different Trill.
I'll be darned, I didn't know that. I haven't seen the latest couple seasons.
That they are played by the person's first name is Blue, and I forgot their last name.
It was Trill?
Yeah.
I forgot the character's name, but okay, maybe I do know that character and just missed that plot point. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I also just had a thought, totally gonna have to edit out of here, but I was like, maybe we should try to do a Star Trek Online thing at some point.
Oh, should we play through Star Trek Online?
Some of it, maybe? I don't know.
Dude, I'd be in.
Might be fun. It's free.
I beta tested Star Trek Online when it first came out, and I never played it after the beta.
I was saying, I can tell you I like 2 nights into it, and I couldn't get into it any further. But
I was definitely gonna play the Super Nintendo DS9 game. So I mean, I'm all for doing that. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to add? Spoiler-ly.
I did appreciate Christopher's question if we're gonna actually talk about the show.
Yes.
About
the clock does come back. The clock sits in Cisco's office, but
yeah. No, I appreciate him asking if Odo is immortal, since we've seen some interesting things happen to Odo and he still exists.
Odo is, I don't know if we know that the founders are immortal, but they definitely live longer.
Yeah, they're long-lived, unfortunately, for some of them.
Long-lived, right up until at some point in Picard season 3.
If they get shot out of an airlock, they still die.
I was thinking more of the disease that Section 31 was engineering to kill them
Yeah.
all off, but
Oh, well, that was in DS9.
it came back in Picard.
Yeah, it came back in
Yeah.
Picard, but it's DS9.
Yeah.
Scott, you brought up, you triggered something for me. The Kamalo or the changing the head in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country?
Different species, sir.
Different species. Did they ever clarify that? I was like, yeah, are they different species or are they related in some way?
Yeah. If you haven't watched it, I don't recommend it. But there is another Kamaloid in Section 31. And it looks like when they transform, they turn into like Q-tips. And it's
Was that Sam Richardson's character?
Yes.
Okay.
And the one cool thing, because Sam Richardson is a Star Trek nerd.
Richards,
He's a
thank
fan.
you.
So he actually was the one who said, I want the same context that Iman had in Star Trek 6. So they gave him the gold context. And that was just like, if you're going to make me be this character, I want the context.
Man, I did make myself sit through that movie, and boy, was it ever one of the all-time movies.
If you want to have some fun, we have a bonus episode where Emily and I watched, and it was painful.
You know, thanks for reminding me that I watched that, because my brain had completely erased that from memory, or at least tried as much as possible. So
I do
thanks
think
for
we're going to
bringing
have
that
to make the newbies watch some movies, but not Section 31.
No.
Not that one.
Ooh, God.
How about First Contact? Well, no, Generations, First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis, and that's it? Or those?
Yeah, Generations is before Worf moves over to DS9. But First Contact, they tried to explain why he's there. Well, they got the Defiant. So that one I think is a must. Insurrection, they kind of tried to explain it, and then they the camera moves away before he explains it. And then Nemesis, they're at the wedding, so that one makes sense, I guess.
All right.
But yeah, good story. Okay, reminder to click all the links. And again, as I mentioned at the start of this, be good about Duet. We would love to see the newbies experience that completely fresh. So no mentioning of it. Don't oh, I'm looking forward to Duet. Just let it go. We'll see how this next week's conversation goes. And be sure to leave a review and let us know how things are going in our social medias. All the links are down below. So if you have any Rule 34 stuff you want to add into the comments, I'll look at it because I will.
And if you're bored, go watch Werewolves Within. It's another Sam Richardson movie, and not enough people have seen it. It's very fucking good. It's very entertaining. Anyway.
Noted. We'll have a movie club.
I love that guy. I don't know.
He's fun. He's fun.
He is.
That Section 31 sucks, but he's fun. Okay. Until next week when we discuss Duet, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Mike.
Emily.
Mind blown Prentice. Good night, everybody.
Adios. See you next week.
Right.
All right.
Relax, Commander. You'll be here any minute.
So, this is how it all ends.
For you,